When we think of World War II, we picture the faces of leaders: Churchill, Roosevelt, Hitler, Stalin, and Eisenhower. We remember the soldiers storming Normandy, the tanks rolling through Europe, and the bombers roaring overhead. But behind every general, behind every victory, stood millions of ordinary people. People whose names never appeared in history books. Yet without them, the war might have been lost. Today, we're turning away from the medals and monuments to uncover the unsung heroes of World War II, the silent, the invisible, the forgotten. History loves its icons: Patton's aggression, Montgomery's strategies, MacArthur's return. But victory didn't belong to a few men in uniforms. It belonged to an unseen network, a web of engineers, nurses, mathematicians, factory workers, and resistance fighters. They were the silent gears in the world's most complex machine, a war fought not just on battlefields, but in factories, offices, and secret rooms. These are their stories, the ones history nearly forgot. In an unassuming estate called Bletchley Park, thousands of minds battled not with bullets, but with logic. Everyone knows the name Alan Turing, but behind him were thousands of others, many of them women, working tirelessly to decipher enemy communications. They cracked codes that saved millions of lives. They shortened the war. And most of them took their secrets to the grave. Among them was Joan Clark, one of the few female cryptanalysts whose brilliance rivaled Turing's. And Mavis Beatty, who broke the Italian naval enigma and helped turn the tide in North Africa. Beyond Britain, in occupied Europe, spies risked their lives in shadow networks like the French resistance and the Polish underground, smuggling intelligence, sabotaging supply lines, and communicating in whispers. These were wars fought in silence, where a single intercepted message could change the course of history. Wars aren't won just by strategy. They're won by supply. Behind every front line was a staggering logistical miracle. Ships that crossed dangerous waters, trains that carried weapons, food, and hope. Men and women who worked without rest to keep the war machine alive. In Britain, the Women's Land Army farmed fields abandoned by men gone to war. In America, Rosie the Riveter became the face of factory workers building planes and tanks. In the Soviet Union, entire factories were dismantled and relocated thousands of miles east to escape Nazi bombing. And they never stopped producing. These were the invisible arteries of war. And every bullet, every ration, every uniform came from hands that never held a rifle. Not every hero wore a helmet. Some wore aprons, armbands, or red crosses. Field medics ran into gunfire to pull wounded soldiers to safety. Nurses in makeshift hospitals worked through nights without sleep, surrounded by pain and loss. Many of them died where they stood, choosing compassion over survival. In occupied countries, ordinary people became extraordinary. Teachers, bakers, farmers, all part of the underground resistance. They sabotaged train tracks, hid refugees, and passed secret messages under the eyes of the enemy. In Warsaw, teenagers fought in the uprising, armed with nothing but homemade grenades. In Denmark, fishermen smuggled thousands of Jews to safety across the sea. They weren't soldiers, but they were warriors of conscience. The war ended, but their echoes remain. Without these unseen hands, the world might have fallen to tyranny. Their courage didn't come from command. It came from conviction. They remind us that heroism is not always about glory, but about doing what's right when no one is watching. Today we stand on the foundation they built, a world reshaped by those history almost forgot. And perhaps that's our challenge now, to look beyond the medals, beyond the monuments, and honor the quiet heroes in our own communities. Because history isn't just written by the famous, it's carried by the forgotten. If you enjoyed uncovering the forgotten voices of history, subscribe for more stories that deserve to be heard.